Welcome to our discussion on the broad spectrum of threats in law. Threats in the context of the law encompass a range of actions, words, or situations that can lead to various legal consequences. These threats can be subtle or overt and impact victims in significantly different ways. Importantly, understanding the nature and implications of threats is crucial for both legal professionals and the general public. The legal system divides threats into various categories, each with distinct repercussions in civil and criminal contexts. From verbal intimidations and physical threats to economic coercion, each type has its own legal definitions and consequences. This categorization helps in delivering justice appropriately and ensures that all aspects of the threat are considered. In exploring these threats, this essay will delve into their legal definitions, the charges they can attract, and their implications in both criminal and civil law. By examining real-world cases and hypothetical scenarios, this discussion aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of the complexity and seriousness of threats within a legal framework. In our next section, we explore verbal intimidation, where words become weapons. Verbal intimidation involves using words to threaten another person. Legally, this can translate into charges like harassment or making criminal threats, depending on the severity and the context of the words used. These threats can be made in person, over the phone, or through digital means, making them a prevalent concern in today's interconnected world. The impact of verbal threats can be profound, affecting the psychological well-being of the victim. Legally, for words to constitute a threat, they must be deliberate, clear, and capable of being carried out. This legal stance ensures that casual, offhand remarks are distinguished from serious threats that intend to instill fear. In criminal law, proving verbal intimidation requires demonstrating that the perpetrator had the intent to instill fear or coerce behavior. This necessity to prove intent makes the legal handling of verbal threats a complex and nuanced area, requiring careful examination of the words used and the context in which they were spoken. Moving on to physical harm, which represents one of the most overt forms of threats, where the threat of bodily injury is explicit. This can range from simple assault to more severe forms like aggravated assault, depending on the means used and the intent behind the threat. Physically threatening someone puts the victim in immediate fear for their safety, which is a critical component in legal considerations. The law takes a strict stance against threats of physical harm because of their potential to escalate into actual physical violence. Legal charges in these cases can be severe, often resulting in significant penalties, including imprisonment. This reflects the societal importance placed on protecting individuals from physical harm. Evidence in cases of physical threats often includes witness testimonies, surveillance footage, and other forms of physical evidence. The visibility of physical threats often makes them easier to prove in court compared to other less tangible forms of threats, such as economic coercion. Finally, let's discuss economic coercion, a subtle yet powerful form of threat. Economic coercion involves using one's financial power to control or threaten another individual or entity. This form of threat can manifest in various contexts, such as employment, marital relationships, or between corporate entities. The subtlety of economic threats makes them complex to identify and prove legally. For instance, an employer might threaten to withhold wages as a form of punishment or control, which can be classified legally as economic coercion. Similarly, in a divorce case, one partner might threaten to cut off financial support as a means to influence legal proceedings or custody decisions. These scenarios highlight the manipulative power of economic threats. The legal framework addressing economic coercion includes laws related to labor rights, divorce proceedings, and anti-competitive practices among businesses. Navigating these laws requires a nuanced understanding of both the legal definitions of coercion and the specific circumstances of each case. Section 5. Criminal charges arising from threats. Threats can lead to a variety of criminal charges, depending on their nature and severity. Common charges include assault, criminal threats, and in severe cases, charges related to terrorist threats. Each of these charges carries different penalties and requires different elements to be proven in court. For a threat to result in criminal charges, it must be credible and specific enough to cause reasonable fear in the victim. the legal system must balance the rights of the accused with the protection of potential victims, making the prosecution of threat-related charges a delicate matter. This balance is crucial to ensure fairness while maintaining public safety. Evidence plays a critical role in prosecuting threats. This can include recordings, written communications, or witness testimonies. The availability and quality of evidence can greatly influence the outcome of threat-related cases, highlighting the importance of thorough investigation and legal scrutiny. Section 6. Civil law implications, contracts and torts. In civil law, threats can play a significant role in areas such as contract disputes and torts. For instance, economic coercion or undue influence can lead to a contract being declared void if one party can prove that they were coerced into the agreement. Similarly, in tort law, threats can lead to claims of emotional distress or defamation, depending on the nature of the threat. When it comes to contracts, the law looks at whether the consent to an agreement was freely given or obtained through coercion. This is vital to maintaining the integrity of contractual agreements and ensuring that all parties are participating willingly and fairly. A contract entered under duress or through fraudulent means can be contested and potentially nullified. In tort law, threats can lead to personal injury claims if they result in actual physical harm or emotional distress. The key factor here is proving that the threat directly caused the harm, which can be challenging, especially in cases involving psychological effects. Legal professionals must carefully construct these cases to effectively demonstrate the link between the threat and the harm incurred. Section 7. Real-world cases. Learning from examples. Real-world cases provide valuable insights into how threats are handled legally. For instance, the case of Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp involved allegations of both physical and verbal threats, and the legal proceedings provided a public view into how such cases are dissected in court. The outcomes of these cases often set precedents for how similar future incidents are treated legally. Another notable case is the National Socialist Party of America versus Skokie, where the U.S. Supreme Court dealt with threats of violence against specific ethnic groups. This case highlighted the legal boundaries of free speech and the point at which it becomes unlawful intimidation. Such cases are crucial for understanding the balance between individual rights and public safety. Each case involving threats has unique elements that influence the legal strategies used. These examples serve as educational tools for both legal professionals and the public, illustrating the complexities of legal responses to different types of threats and their consequences. Section 8. Hypothetical scenarios. Understanding potential outcomes. To further understand the implications of threats, consider these hypothetical scenarios. A business owner threatens to destroy a competitor's career through false accusations unless they withdraw from a business deal. Legally, this could lead to charges of extortion and possible civil claims for defamation and economic damage. Another scenario involves a neighbor threatening physical harm over a property dispute. This situation could escalate to criminal charges of making terroristic threats and potentially lead to a restraining order. These hypotheticals help illustrate the potential legal outcomes and the seriousness with which the law treats threats. These scenarios emphasize the importance of understanding the legal definitions and consequences of threats. They also highlight the role of legal advice in navigating potential threats and understanding one's rights and obligations under the law. Section 9. Conclusion. Legal consequences and awareness. Understanding the spectrum of legal threats and their consequences is vital for navigating daily interactions and maintaining lawful conduct. Awareness of how the law categorizes and handles different types of threats helps in recognizing when legal advice is needed and in ensuring one's actions remain within legal boundaries. The discussion of real-world cases and hypothetical scenarios serves to illustrate the complexities involved in legal proceedings related to threats. It underscores the importance of a well-informed public and a vigilant legal system in upholding justice and preventing harm. By comprehending the potential legal consequences of threats, individuals can better protect themselves and avoid inadvertently violating the law. This knowledge is crucial not only for personal safety, but also for contributing to a lawful and respectful society.